Outdoor Recreation Economy Open House. It is tentatively planned from 5 to 6:30. If we end early, great. If we need more time, we can definitely look into what that looks like as well. So just to give a brief kind of overview of what today is going to look like, we're going to do some quick introductions, go over our wonderful faculty who are here with us, kind of give some more overview about the curriculum, what to expect, what it looks like, how you can personalize it. And then we'll leave some time for going over quickly admissions and deadlines, and then any questions that might come up. So we want this to be a little bit more of a conversation. So as I'm speaking, if you're like, oh, I have a question, something's popping to my brain, I might forget it, please don't hesitate to unmute, ask your questions. I am really bad about being like, oh, I'll ask later, and then I totally forget. So please feel free to stop me anytime. Perfect. So, and we have a few more people coming in, so I'll just admit them as they come in. So I would love to just do a quick round table. I'll go ahead and just call on people to make it a little bit easier, so there's no pressure on calling on someone else. Just kind of what's your name, where are you calling in from, your academic and professional background, and then what are your favorite outdoor activities. So I'll go ahead and just go first to start us off. I'm Carly. I am calling in from Longmont, Colorado. So close to see you, which is awesome. My official title is the Recruitment and Communications Manager for the ORE. So I am helping with prospective students. I come from the field of academic advising, so my background has been in higher education, but I absolutely love the outdoors, which has led me to this role, and it is amazing. And my favorite outdoor activity has got to be backpacking right now. So I have a couple backpacking trips planned. And for those of you in Colorado, I just scored a permit to Conundrum Hot Springs, which felt a little bit like the Hunger Games. So I'm very, very excited for that. So I'm going to go ahead and just kick it off based on my screen. And Andrew, you are the lucky one. Andrew North, we'll start off with you.
Perfect. Thanks, Carly. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrew. Calling in from Erie, so actually not far from Longmont, not far from campus. Academically, I actually am a CU grad, did my undergrad at the business school, left and worked professionally in Chicago for most of my career as an investment banker, spent about 5 years on the West Coast as well in equity research, took some time off. I now work for the university. I'm at the business school on the career development side, actually the division Carly was previously in. And, you know, I had taken a big career shift, clearly. Part of that was to get back to Colorado, where I'm from, and all the outdoor activities here. So it's a great move. I came back here in sort of mid-2018. And then favorite outdoor activity, probably a mix up between hiking, camping. Did some rafting recently out near Lake Tahoe, which I didn't know I was interested in, and now I'm interested in. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
Perfect. Thanks, Andrew. We'll go to the next Andrew. So Andrew Chen, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Hey, everyone. Andrew Chen, calling in from California, actually currently en route back to Santa Barbara from Mammoth Lakes. I was just up there and doing some of the last scraps of June snow that we've got up there. So yeah, forgive me if my reception cuts in and out. But yeah, did my undergraduate degree at the University of California in Santa Barbara. And I've kind of lived there ever since. I've worked at a couple of spots in between. I was an environmental science major. That's my educational background, but you know, really, I've always loved the outdoors. So worked in retail at REI for a couple of years, just as a local shop in SB, and then most recently as a associate product line manager with Deckers Brands, specifically the Sanuk brand. But yeah, you know, looking forward to learning more about this program. And yeah, that's about it for me. Oh yeah, my favorite outdoor activity. Yeah, I just got back from a ski trip, but I would say overall, if I had to pick one, I'd pick backpacking any day.
That's definitely a good choice, Andrew. I would agree with you on that one.
Yeah, a lot of great spots in California and Colorado as well, too. I imagine I haven't spent too much time out there, but
I'll say if I ever go out to California, I'll have to pick your brains. My brother just moved to San Jose, so I plan on going out there.
Oh, okay.
for a bit.
Yeah, great.
Amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, perfect. And then Craig, we'll go ahead and move to you next.
Hi, everyone. Craig Belleville. I'm calling in from Boulder. My academic background is in philosophy and communications. My professional background is in marketing and advertising. Favorite outdoor activities, it would be hard to pick a favorite. But cycling, mountain biking, rock climbing, skiing, the fishing, the list goes on. So, many of them are my favorite.
Yeah, I feel like that goes to show for most all of us where it's hard to just pick one specific outdoor activity. Amazing. Cool. Well, is it Kara or Kara?
It is Kara. I
Kara.
think. Am I the next person? I can't see everyone else.
I'm gonna tap you to go next if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, right after I said hi, I was worried that there were more people named Kara. Yeah, but no, it's Kara. I live in Boulder, Colorado, so I'm very close to campus here. And I am enjoying the rain. I don't particularly mind biking in it unless I have to stop while wet. Otherwise, as long as I'm like planning, like not wearing like white t-shirts or anything like that, I'm okay with getting wet out in the rain. But I do plan to avoid it if I can. My undergrad is in psychology. I have been at home for a few years with my 2 children who are now grown up and almost out of the nest. So I've done a little bit of retail and just really enjoy the energy of the outdoor activities, outdoor industry in general. So kind of trying to find my place in that area. Not sure what that's going to look like. My favorite outdoor activities are I'm an avid skier, backcountry, alpine. I'm a diehard telemarker as well. I don't know what that says about me. And I'm a climber, outdoor, and I will hike. I call it approaching. So it's a little bit different than hiking, but it's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Amazing. I feel like it's the better question is what don't you do? Maybe.
Oh, we have plenty, but I don't like kayaking. I've tried kayaking. I don't like it.
That's valid.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, and I don't run either. Plenty of things.
You bike in the rain sometimes. It's fine.
Biking at night is the best. I will say, like, you got to get a good light. But yeah, then biking at night's amazing, especially during hot summer days.
Oh, because I'm sure the weather is so much nicer then, right?
So nice. And then everyone you run into outside, it's like you have this like secret thing that everyone is like, it's like even more like when you're biking around town and people are like, all these other people that have to drive. I mean, you have to drive and you have to drive, but we know what's up. At night, it's like 10 times worse. Everyone's like, we're like living it. Yeah.
Amazing. I feel like I'll have to try that one time once I get proper lighting. Awesome. Cool. Well, Madeline, I'm going to go ahead and pop to you next, if you don't mind. You are the only Madeline.
Hey, I'm Madeline, and I'm in Anacortes, Washington right now. And this is where I'm from. And I went to school at Western in Bellingham, which is just 45 minutes north from here. And it's like an hour and a half north of Seattle. And I went to Fairhaven, which is like a choose your own adventure kind of school. And so I studied sustainability and social entrepreneurship and creative advocacy. And so since then, I've been kind of doing gig work and done some communications and marketing and video production and video editing. And I have a lot of interests in the outdoor industry. And different pathways that I might want to go down. And my favorite outdoor activity right now would be smelling flowers. Yeah, hiking and smelling flowers and picnicking by bodies of water.
It's definitely a good time to smell the flowers. One of the people in
Yeah,
our office brought in her neighbor's peonies that were blooming, and oh my goodness, the floor smelled so good. So good.
right. And they feel so nice on your face too.
Yes, I didn't get that close, but yes, definitely. Amazing. Perfect. Cool. I'm gonna pop it to Rich, if you don't mind, and then Sarah, you will be next.
Hi, Rich McGuigan. I'm calling from northern New Jersey, work in Manhattan. Bachelor of Science from the University of Delaware in Visual Communications, Applied Photography. I've been a commercial photographer, studio manager for the last 25 plus years. And favorite outdoor activity would be fly fishing and landscape photography.
Is there quite a bit of fly fishing up in, you said New Jersey, correct?
Yep. Yeah, there is. There's plenty of we're in Northwest New Jersey, so it's a little more rural than what people tend to think of going up and down the turnpike.
Amazing. That's so cool. I had no idea. You learn something new every day. Perfect. And then Sarah, I'll go ahead and bounce it to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Bushman. I'm actually calling from Aspen, Colorado today. I lived on the Front Range, though, for a little while. I worked for Colorado Parks and Wildlife for a few years, and so I worked at Golden Gate Canyon State Park and St. Verrain. So I lived in Longmont for a minute as well. As far as academic and professional background, I have a Bachelor's of Science from Portland State, and I am finishing an MBA from CSU currently. And so as far as a professional background, it's been a smorgasbord of things in the outdoor industry, from guiding, wilderness medicine, to the gear industry, from Sierra Designs and Kelty in Montville to then the parks for several years. And what brought me here is I've worked for the ski company now for a really long time. I just really love to ski. So that's probably my favorite activity for outdoors, is uphill skiing as well, and touring. And man, I love camping though, and backpacking and kayaking and yoga and fly fishing and trail running. So just love the outdoors.
Amazing. I feel like when it says, what are your favorite outdoor activities? I feel like it needs to be separated based on season.
Yeah.
It's hard to choose.
For sure.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing a little bit more about yourself, your academic background, professional background, why you're here. I'm excited to kind of dive deeper into the academics so you all can learn a little bit more. All right, so we're going to jump to our faculty panel. So we have Mark, Lydia, and Natalie with us today. So they'll talk a little bit about themselves and their certificates.
Charlie? Am I coming across or no? Or
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry, Robert. I totally spaced. I'm so sorry. Let's go.
I was wondering if there's a communication thing, because I'm kind of new to Zoom. So.
Oh no, you're all good. I just spaced because we had already had a conversation. So I was like, oh, everyone knows Robert.
By now, yeah. Well, just a little introduction on me. I have an undergraduate from San Diego State in Business Administration Information System. I worked just about 20 years in accounting in Orange County when Ronald Reagan was president. Led a Department of Defense contracting. I worked for the Irvine Company. I also worked for Pacific Life Insurance. Half my career is general ledger accounting, and the other half has been financial analyst, budgeting, forecasting, variance analysis, reporting as well. But 10 years ago, I lost my job because of the real estate crash. So I decided to go back to school. I went to Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa. I studied nutrition and physical geography. I learned about GIS. And I applied for and got a full ride graduate scholarship certificate at Cal State Long Beach in GIS. One class from completing that program, but I decided to take a break because I'm not a fan of upper division statistics. But so then I was thinking about UC Boulder for a second bachelor's in GIS, because you can't get a second bachelor's in California. And so I looked into the program, and says, yeah, this is really pretty cool. And real cool. So then, but I decided to come up here to finish a degree in accounting, AA degree, just to complement my years of experience and the gap in employment. So I went to Santa Barbara City College, lived in Santa Barbara for a year, then I moved up here to San Luis Obispo. And I think I mentioned this last time when I first met you, but last May 19th, I think, I graduated from 2 colleges on the same day. I graduated from Cuesta College with a degree in hospitality management at 1 o'clock. And then I went down to Santa Barbara and I graduated from Santa Barbara City College at 5 o'clock with a degree in accounting. So I don't know how many people can say they've actually graduated from 2 campuses in the ceremonies on the same day, but now you're looking at one of them. So, but you know, I was thinking about GIS at Colorado, but I've been away from ArcMap and GIS technology for about 4 years. And I thought that means I'm probably going to have to stay here at Cuesta, take some GIS classes before I transfer. And so about a month ago, I was thumbing through the programs offered at CU Boulder, and I came across outdoor recreation economy. And I thought, what is this? And I was amazed. It was like, where have you been all my life? And just researching it, the limited research that I have, I just fell in love with it. I'm an outdoor enthusiast, big time. I love trout fishing, fly and bait fishing. I love kayaking, paddleboarding, hiking. I've hiked every day trail in Yosemite from the valley floor up. I've been on the top of Yosemite Half Dome 3 times. Last year, I went to Sequoia National Park twice for a week, saw the General Sherman, hiked through the Congress Trail, saw some massive giant sequoias there. I went up to Yosemite twice, went up to Vernal Falls and Nevada Falls, and then I went to Muir Woods. Fell in love with Muir Woods. I was there for a week, came back here, got bored, and went back up for another week. And I love camping. I love alpine skiing. I've skied. I have 2 brothers that live in Truckee, and I've skied every resort in the Tahoe area. And I've skied Sun Valley, Idaho 3 times. And once you ski out of California, California is never the same. You really, really get spoiled. I haven't skied Colorado, but I'm really looking forward to skiing Colorado. And I also love bicycling as well. And I have a unique hobby that I have 25 years experience in it. And I'm also licensed by the Department of the Interior, and that is taxidermy. I learned how to do taxidermy when I was in high school. I was raised on a ranch in Gilroy, and down the street was a professional taxidermist, and he taught me the whole business. And I've mounted everything from a parakeet to a 7-foot black bear that my brother has by his fireplace in Truckee. And but I mainly do birds. I like birds. I'm kind of a bird guy, but I don't hunt anymore. I do taxidermy as a form of artwork. And but I'm really glad and excited about this program here. I'm glad that it's online. And I'm glad that we have the flexibility of it online, because next year I'm actually planning on moving to Boulder. And I would like to move to Boulder this year, but I want to move there during the spring for my first semester, and just to get acclimated with the weather. But I want to be part of the campus. I'm going to take some in-person classes there as well. But I just want to meet the professors, become acquainted with them, and just start building up rapport with them too as well. So I'm very excited about this program.
Amazing, Robert. Thank you so much for sharing. I always love hearing about your background. You've lived such a unique life. Awesome.
I have, and I've also served in the military for 18 years. I have 3 honorable discharges from the Army, Air Force, and the California National Guard. I served in Vietnam and Desert Storm as well. So I do have kind of a diverse background.
I would say so. Yes. Amazing. Cool. And I don't think I forgot anyone else. I've double checked the names. I've forgotten our faculty, but we will get to them in just a moment. Perfect. So I'm going to move back to this slide. And then I guess, Mark, if you want to start us off.
Sure, I'm happy to start us off. Thank you, Carly. And one thing you didn't mention, Carly's also a student in the ORE program. That's how we initially got to know Carly, is she joined the program. And when we were recruiting for a new position, I remembered Carly and remembered she was in academia and knew her as a student and said, you ought to apply. So we're thrilled that Carly's part of the team now. And thank you for taking the time to do the introductions, right? They're super important because you see the wide diversity of experience you all bring, and we learn from one another as well, right? That's a huge part of this program. I mean, you've heard everything from, backcountry guides to accounting and all of these skills come into and experiences come into the curriculum at some point. And as we're sharing discussion posts and ideas with one another, that diversity of experience is incredibly valuable. So thank you for doing that. Welcome. We're super glad that you're here. It's awesome to meet you. My name is Mark Gasta. I'm in Boulder, Colorado right now. To follow your script, my academic background, well, actually, let me just combine it all in one. I'm on my third career as well, Robert. I also served in Desert Storm. My first career was a military officer and pilot. So I flew for 10 years, lived around the world, did lots of exciting things. Great start. And then my undergrad was from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and I was in environmental and systematic biology with fisheries and wildlife concentration. So I viewed my future. I was trapping wolves in Alaska, putting radio collars on them. I was diving off the coast of Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant there, monitoring for bad stuff out there for the EPA. But also ultimately I went in and flew helicopters for the military for 10 years. And when I looked to transition out of the military, long story, but I found myself in corporate America, much to my surprise. And in order to supplement that transition, I also got an MBA at the same time from the University of Denver. And it was great, actually. I found my way to HR, which I felt really good about my contribution. I felt really good about dealing with that one stakeholder, the employee, trying to create a better environment. And as my career grew, it grew from that individual all the way to organizations. How do you leverage organizations to do well and do good? Along the way, I got a doctorate from Pepperdine in organizational change. So as we think about large scale organizational change, how do you leverage organizations to do both well and good for all key stakeholders? Yes, the environment by all means, but also your employees, your consumers, your investors, your communities. It's super powerful, right, when we think about it that way. So my final job in corporate America in my second career was kind of the pinnacle where I was able to align who I was with what I did, which is incredibly powerful. I became the Chief Human Resources Officer and the Chief Sustainability Officer of Vail Resorts. So worked there for 10 years and overseeing our culture and our sustainability strategy, and always planned at some point to move into academia. And my logic there was for greater purpose and more flexibility in my life. So found the opportunity to do that. I've now been teaching since 2017. I've been involved in the Masters of Tourism Management, which was about nature-based tourism up at CSU, Colorado State University. I started the adventure tourism program up there. I taught the ski area management certificate up there. I then moved to Boulder because I live in Boulder. So I got the opportunity to take a job here at CU, which was awesome, but initially in Leeds School of Business. So I taught in the School of Business for a couple of years. And then when we started this new program, I finally said, I'm home, and I have the unique opportunity now to lead this program and work with this great crew that we're talking about, and really help build the future leaders, grow the future leaders of the industry so that we can go out there in the world and leverage outdoor recreation, both as an economic driver, but also to protect threatened lands, threatened cultures, and do good with this industry. As far as my favorite activity, I too am a jack of all trades, master of none. You name it, I do it. And I'm gonna, a joke is never good when you have to explain it. So I used to always say, but I'm a darn good après skier. One of our faculty members actually asked, what is après skiing? And I thought, oh, that's not a very good joke if people don't know what it is. So if you don't know what après skiing is, I'm not saying I'm a good skier. I'm saying look up après skiing. So anyways, that's me. I'm glad you guys are here. Who do you want to go to next? Carly?
Mark, would you actually mind chatting a little bit about your certificate and then the inclusivity one real quick before I pop it to Lydia? I'm going to pop it to you next.
Okay, you want to dive into that as well? Sure. So I'm responsible for two certificates. One is the intro certificate, which is exactly what it says. For those pursuing a master's, will also get the intro certificate. It's a requirement, and it really gives you a foundation, a broad overview of all things related to the outdoor recreation economy, from, you know, who is the consumer, to how do we build a sustainable business, to challenges and opportunities as it relates to public lands, to what are we talking about when we talk about sustainability, and on and on. So it's a really great foundation as you then choose and pursue your other 2 certificates, if in fact you're following the master's path. The other certificate I lead is leading a sustainable business in the ORE, and the definition's in the name. It's about business, it's about leadership, and it's about sustainability. So we talk about everything from strategy to circular economy to entrepreneurship to, you know, what is the business of outdoor recreation economy, supply chain, government affairs, permitting, manufacturing. For you as future leaders of the industry, it's really important to have a general broad understanding. So that course is really designed to do that. And then all the courses, all the certificates have a project course involved too, because we want you to then apply all the learnings that you have in a real world applied project at the end of it. And the idea there is that, you know, you one, get some experience in areas that you're interested in, and 2, have something additional to add onto your resume. Now, Carly also mentioned the newest certificate. Our newest certificate is Inclusivity in the ORE. We're super excited about it. We've just named our certificate lead. You'll see her picture here, Georgina Miranda. She's an amazing woman that not only is a very accomplished mountaineer, she's pursuing the Grand Slam, which includes the 7 summits and going to the North and South Pole. She runs her own business as it relates to women equality throughout the world. The reason she's not with us today, she lives in Portugal. So it's like 1 o'clock in the morning there. So she brings a really nice global perspective and has been involved in the outdoor industry in so many different ways throughout her career. So Georgina does an amazing job. You will hear more. So far, we've launched 1 course as it relates to that. In the fall, we'll launch 2 more. We're very close to announcing the names of those 2 courses, but we'll have one of those courses in session A, one in session B. You'll learn more about what that looks like in a moment. And the idea is, you know, how do we as an industry create a natural environment where all people can not only feel welcome, but also encouraged to be participants and enthusiasts, industry professionals, and stewards dedicated to the protection of the land. So more to come as it relates to that certificate soon. Okay, Carly, is that good? All right, let's move on to Lydia then.
All right. Thanks, Mark. And thanks, Carly. Great to hear more about all of your backgrounds. It's really exciting to me to hear the geographic diversity too that we have today. It's and cool to hear about some of the outdoor recreation experiences y'all have in the different places where you are. I'm leading the Public Lands and Natural Resources Certificate, and I'm joining you today from Durango, Colorado, which is down here in the southwest corner of the state. I grew up northwest of Philly, though, and spent actually quite a bit of time at the Jersey Shore when I was growing up. So that is I know there was someone from New Jersey, and yeah, I really enjoyed my time there, and I'll be back there actually this summer to go fishing with my dad. So let's see a little bit about my professional and academic background. I've been working on natural resource issues for about 2 decades. I have an undergrad degree in environmental studies from Dartmouth College in New Hampshire. And then I got a master's in environmental management from what was then the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies, and which is now the Yale School of the Environment. And while I was at Yale, I focused primarily on forestry and forest management, particularly in the Western US. When I finished up there, I decided to take a winter off, or I guess a year off, to ski in Jackson, Wyoming, which turned into 10 years, and had, in addition to some great skiing, also some really important professional experiences. I worked for a nonprofit conservation organization, the Northern Rockies Conservation Cooperative, which is an organization that looks at ways we can better integrate ecological and social science research into policy. And I worked in a variety of roles for that organization, supporting researchers working on projects mostly related to large carnivore conservation and other wildlife conservation issues. And while I was working for NRCC, I also volunteered for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as a volunteer wildlife technician on the Wyoming Wolf Recovery Project. So Mark and I actually share we could probably trade some stories about collaring wolves in wild places. And that was a really cool experience. I primarily worked on the wolf packs that were outside of Yellowstone National Park, so in Grand Teton National Park, and the public and private lands outside of the national parks. And that experience, is along with working for a NGO, really got me interested in the social and political aspects of wildlife management. And I moved down to Boulder to do a PhD at CU in the environmental studies program. And my PhD focused on understanding the nuances and complexity of wolf policy and management in Wyoming at different scales. So at the, looking at state management, federal management, and then how local communities were impacted by state and federal policies. And I also worked with a research group at the time that studied social and political aspects of wildfire management in Colorado. When I finished that up, I actually transitioned into teaching for the Masters of the Environment professional program, which is also at CU Boulder and also in the environmental studies department, like the ORE program. And I've taught courses in public lands policy and management, foundations of environmental policy, natural resources policy and management, and on, and advised a number of capstone projects for that program as well in the outdoor recreation and public lands and natural resources policy arena. I've also got a few projects, well, actually they're both kind of wrapping up now, but working with federal land management agencies, assessing recreation amenities and visitor experiences. And so let's see, what else? I guess at the beginning of the pandemic, I moved with my family down here to Durango, and I also work as the executive director of the Durango Nordic Ski Club, which is a really cool organization, community oriented, that we manage about 30 kilometers of Nordic trails on a piece of private land that's several hundred acres just north of Durango. So it's cool to see kind of the implications of federal policies like the Clean Water Act and how they're manifested at the small scale of the private landowner. And then also working with the community to get kids outside on skis and just figure out how we bring skiing and outdoor recreation in the winter to a broader audience. So my free time, I guess my favorite outdoor activities would be, shocker, Nordic skiing and ski touring, also mountain biking now and then. I spend a lot of time building fairy houses with my 5-year-old in our backyard too, out of sticks and leaves and flowers. So, and then Carly, do you want me to just jump into the major themes? Okay. So let's see, major themes and topics for the Public Lands and Natural Resources Certificate. Well, just kind of out of the gate, you're going to learn about the public land management agencies at the federal level who are responsible for the administration of public lands. And we'll also talk about what that looks like at the state and local levels as well. And then you'll get a deep dive into alphabet soup with the major federal laws that oversee the governance of public lands, including NEPA, the Endangered Species Act, or ESA, Antiquities Act, multiple use mandates like, this is so fun, MUSA and FLIPMA, which are the Multiple Use Sustained Yield Act, which governs what how the Forest Service manages their lands. And then FLIPMA is the Federal Land Policy Management Act, which is how the governing legislation for the BLM. We'll also talk about recent bipartisan public lands omnibus laws like the Dingell Act. And then also just a review of how policy is made and the different processes that are associated with policymaking, including budgeting, which is always a bit, it sounds pretty dry, but it's also very eye-opening in terms of how policy gets made and policy gets implemented. We'll go into conflicts and controversies related to natural resource management, and talk about tools for unpacking those conflicts based in public policy theory and case studies. My PhD was very policy theory centric, and I try to I mean, I really can nerd out on that stuff, and I try to bring it into the classroom in a very applied sense. So you'll learn a little bit of theory, and then you'll practice that theory, and you won't even realize it's theory, I promise. Let's see what else. We'll talk about other tools to think about how to address these conflicts, including how to define problems, how to involve stakeholders, and thinking about the relationships among stakeholders and how that can influence the policy process. We'll also do some just kind of, basic understanding of where to find information about current policies, programs, funding opportunities coming down the pipeline through state and federal programs that are facilitated by legislation. We'll also go into the role of environmental movements and advocacy in the public lands and natural resource space, because environmental movements and advocacy groups have been very influential in the past and still in affecting and really influencing environmental policy. And we'll think about how, if as a professional, you might craft policy and advocate for it at multiple scales, whether you're thinking about or you're working for an organization that's trying to create new wilderness areas through federal legislation, or you're advocating to your city council for local parks and open space and historically under-resourced communities, or whether you're advocating to protect special areas from industrial development, or thinking about how recreation can be compatible with stewardship, conservation, or in some cases, other extractive uses. And then we'll also weave themes related to equity, access, and justice as related to public lands and natural resource management, such as the wealth of knowledge that can be brought to us from Indigenous communities that's really instructive in thinking about land and resource management, and as well as innovations and opportunities to improve access and equity to public lands. So that was a lot. I think I'll stop there. But yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Lydia. And then Natalie, last but not least.
Thanks, Carly. Thanks, everyone else. Hi, everyone. Great to meet you all. As Carly mentioned, my name is Natalie Uy, and I am a teaching associate professor with CU Boulder, and I lead the Building Resilient Communities through Outdoor Recreation Certificate here in the ORE program. I am originally from Melbourne, Australia, as I hope the accent still comes through and demonstrates, but I'm currently calling in from Longmont, Colorado, where I live, so not too far from campus either. Another role I play within at CU Boulder is I also lead the Sustainability in the Outdoor Industry specialization for our on-campus Masters of the Environment program, which is like the sister program to this online program. And so, really well established within this outdoor recreation space. Now, in terms of my professional and academic background, I'll try and condense it because I know we are running short on time. But I think, like a lot of people in the outdoors, I've done a little bit of everything. And I think it took me a little bit of time to dabble in a lot of different spaces to find out what I was really passionate about and where I really wanted to spend my time and really build expertise in. And so, I've worked in outdoor guiding, outdoor education, outdoor retail. I've done events and hospitality work. But I ended up moving into the sustainable tourism and destination management space after doing a lot of travel around the world, doing some backpacking around the world, and really being interested in looking at in particular, the social and cultural challenges that many communities face as a result of tourism and outdoor recreation development. There's a lot of research that's been done on the environmental impacts and obviously the economic impacts, but often the social and cultural aspects of sustainability get overlooked in this conversation or seen as an afterthought. And for me, these became really, really important. And so this interest led to further studies and then ultimately my PhD, which was actually based out of Steamboat Springs in Colorado. So it's not a bad place to do a PhD, I will say. But I was really interested in looking at the impacts of mountain resort development on those social and cultural aspects of sustainability. So looking at everything from, cultural clashes between new residents and old residents, looking at how we define community, like how inclusive some of these
That's okay. Natalie, we lost you just for a hot second there.
Oh, sorry. I will say my internet connection has been going in and out, and I wonder if it is because of the storm. So I apologize if that happens again. But really looking at, a lot of the social and cultural issues that surround a lot of the tourism development that we see in many outdoor recreation communities. And so after that, I did a bit of back and forth between Australia and the US, trying to decide, where do I want to settle? Ended up choosing the US. My husband is from here. And then ended up working at CSU, where Mark joined us later on. But I worked in their Masters of Tourism Management program, and I led the ski area management certificate that Mark alluded to before, and partnered with the ski industry to develop that, which was really the first professional graduate level certificate program we offered at Colorado State University at the time. We built that out into a suite of offerings, as Mark mentioned, and was up at CSU for about 7 years and ended up leading their tourism programs, both at the graduate and undergraduate here at CU Boulder, to help lead this certificate. And as I mentioned, worked in the on-campus program. Now, my outdoor activities that I really am passionate about, I'd like Carly and others have said, I really do enjoy backpacking. I've done a lot of expeditions in Australia. I do have 2 young boys, and so most of my outdoor activities these days are teaching them how to ski, which is fantastic. A lot of fun, a lot of tears as well, if I'm being honest.
From you
but
or
also a
from
lot
them?
of playgrounds. Both, definitely both. But I spent a lot of time, honestly. I guess outdoor recreation for me, the definition has since expanded to spending a lot of time at playgrounds and in public pools, which I do like as well. But a little bit of information about the Building Resilient Community Certificate. I think the thing I love about this certificate the most is it brings a lot of what Mark has talked about in his certificate and what Lydia has talked about in hers, because so much of what we do and who we are rooted in place and rooted in community. Businesses are located in a community many times, even when they are virtual. But public lands, we talk about communities and gateway communities that are adjacent to these public lands. And so this certificate is really about how do we use outdoor recreation as a focal point to build communities that are economically diverse, that are culturally vibrant, that are connected, and where people are civically engaged and they have the capacity to take control of their own future. We're also talking about how do we build communities that are healthy, that are active, and that overall just have a really high quality of life. And outdoor recreation plays a very key role in that. And so the certificate's focused on
That's key timing. The certificate's focused on, and you froze, Natalie. All right. Well, looks like she's frozen for a little while here. So, Carly, let's move on. Oh no, I just saw her move. Are you back? No, she's still frozen.
Oh,
Oh, now you're back. I hear you.
I'm back now.
You froze at the certificate's focused on, and we just can't stand the
suspense.
Yeah.
Apologize again, but the certificate is really focused on. So wait, did we talk about the focal using outdoor recreation as a focal point? Did we cover any of that? Was I all that we did cover that? Cool. Okay, so we're really focused on community development and economic development, but what that means in the outdoor recreation sense, which is very different from, when we think about economic development, we often think about like business incentives to attract Amazon to a community, things like that. But in the outdoor recreation space, it has a very different look and feel. And we're talking about, how do communities decide what role outdoor recreation can and should play in their future development and what it can look like. And that's everything from building playgrounds to improve, access to the outdoors and equitable access, but it's also to developing, outdoor industry clusters, manufacturing hubs, attracting business entrepreneurs that are in the outdoor space. And it's about really sort of analyzing and identifying how communities can make these decisions and determine what's going to be best for them and what they have the capacity to support and develop. And so it's a really exciting time to be in this space because, to be honest, there's more money now than we've ever seen coming down from the federal level, which is flowing into the state from some of those laws and acts that Lydia mentioned, that's really being invested into our communities, into infrastructure on public lands, into supporting infrastructure to connect public lands to communities, and also to do things like increase climate resiliency and looking at the role that open space and green spaces can play in that as well. And so The coursework's really broken up into 4 different themes, which are the courses of really understanding what is community and why is it important? What are some of these strategies to build resilient, livable, and sustainable communities? What are some of the tools and how do we implement those? And then overall, how do we do all of this with the purpose of not just developing these amazing outdoor recreation amenities, but also building community capacity? And so, as Lydia also mentioned in the public land certificate, there's a strong focus naturally on equity and who we invite to the table, who is part of these decision-making processes, who is helping to lead and develop the visions for these communities, many of which are undergoing pretty difficult times, whether it's a just transition or really just looking for greater opportunities for their residents and also for visitors as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Natalie, for doing that and for braving the internet. Hopefully my internet does not start doing that too. Perfect. So thank you all so much for sharing. I think if you want to hop off, you're welcome to, or you're welcome to hang out with me as I go through the next couple slides. For everyone else on the call, I know that was a lot of information, but it's a lot of important information. So understanding more about the certificates, how you can personalize them, what they go into, it's these are the main people who know about it. So thank you all so much for sharing. Perfect, cool. So we're gonna hop into some more of the academic pieces. I will try to be as succinct as possible. Definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to set up a meeting with me. I'm happy to kind of go over things in more detail. Cool. So the first one is I just want to touch briefly on our career development office. So as a student in the ORE, you do get access to career services. So that could be, updating your resume, LinkedIn, job searches, networking, crafting your narrative, workshops, one-on-one coaching, interviewing, negotiation, stuff like that. So we do have a dedicated career service team to help you as you transition or, even transition from a different role or try to look to further your career. So that is an amazing thing that we have just started offering. And it is pretty highly utilized. Students find it to be really, really helpful as you try to tailor that resume and everything. Cool. So there are 3 different options for engaging with the outdoor economy program. So you can do the master's, you can do graduate certificates, or you can do individual courses. So you can just take a course by itself, you can take a certificate by itself, or you can stack 3 certificates to make a master's. And we'll go ahead and go over that in a little bit more detail in just a moment. This program is fully online. So if you're not, there's quite a few who aren't in the States. So this is really convenient. You do it at your own time. There are dates and deadlines for assignments and everything, but fully online, self-paced. So you can do it during the week whenever works best for you. We really designed this program to be as flexible as possible. All of our professors are willing to work with you. So if something's coming up, if you have an event, just work with us. We want to make sure that you're getting the most out of this as possible. So definitely it is meant to be flexible. Perfect. So the way it's worked, and I guess I could have waited for our certificate leads to talk about it here, but it's organized into 4 different graduate certificates. So the intro, public lands, building resilient communities, sustainable business, and then inclusivity and outdoor recreation. So those are the 5 that we have right now. There are additional certificates in development, but right now, those are our main ones. Cool. So each certificate in the program has the same structure. So just so you know, it is 5 classes total. 4 of those are asynchronous subject courses. So main content, you're learning more about it. The professors bring in guest speakers from the outdoor industry. There's opportunities to interact with faculty and peer in real time. We have a Slack for our students that we often engage in, just figure out what are other people doing. Am I on the right track? And then there is one synchronous project course. So that's kind of more of like a capstone class. So you're putting together all that information from your other 4 courses into one major project. And so that's a really great opportunity to get that tangible hands-on, like, hey, I've done this. This is the project. So really like take home valuable experience. So in those, you'll be partnering, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are partnering with an industry partner. So you'll be able to work with outdoor industry businesses, programs, government, stuff like that. So it's really getting you that hands-on experience. So jumping into the master's certificate, so it is the master's degree, it is 30 credit hours. So it's composed of 3 10-credit certificates. So you have to take that intro to outdoor recreation economy, and then you get to take 2 more of your choice. So this is a really great opportunity to pick and choose what certificates interest you. So that way you can make that personalized degree. You're getting that information that's really going to be applicable in those careers that you want. The master's can be done as quickly as 2 years or up to 4 years, just kind of depending on how quickly you want to get it done with, or, if you have a family or if you have a full-time job, I'm definitely taking those into account. So it's really at your own pace. We want to make sure that you can complete it. So that's the master's. And I don't know if we touched on it. We might touch on it a little bit later, but just so everyone knows, our classes are, oops, I don't think we touched on it. Okay, so our classes are 2 credits each. They are 8-week courses. So generally the typical cadence of it is you take 1 class in the first half of a semester, 1 class in the second, and then potentially 1 class in the fall. So there will be, if you figure it out, it's, say if you do the intro one, you'll take 1 class in the fall, first half, 1 class in the fall, second half, same for spring, and then 1 in summer, and you are done with that full certificate. So generally it's taking about 5 classes a year, works out for most of our students. So this next slide is about individual courses. So like I mentioned before, you can do 1 class, you can do 1 certificate. If you're just thinking about maybe testing out the water, see how it's going, maybe you're already in the outdoors, you just want to take a class to further your knowledge in an area, this is a great option for you where you can just do 1 class, get that knowledge, you can continue it, you can continue on to a certificate, continue on to a master's. So like the slide says, it can be applied to those graduate certificates and the master's degree. So this is a really great way to just start your career in the outdoors or just gain that additional knowledge. Perfect. So a lot of people and a lot of students ask about the different careers. What does the student population look like? What can I expect? We have a really eclectic mix of students. We have people who are coming just straight out of their bachelor's. We have people who are pivoting from different careers. That could be accounting, teaching, the military, right? And then we also have people who are already in, the outdoors, and they're just trying to advance their careers. So it's really quite a cool mix of people in there. Since it is an online program, it is fully across the United States. So even today we have people in California and New Jersey. So you can see it's really coast to coast. I find that to be super helpful in conversations because you can get to learn more about what's happening outside of your state that you might not be aware of. And it's really cool to bring that into conversation. So we're hoping to create meaningful and impactful leadership positions that are going to shape the futures of the outdoor industry. We want students who are excited, and that's been the case. They want to get outdoors, they want to learn, they want to be engaged. And so that's generally what you'll get from this program, is that excitement to be learning about new materials, excitement to bring in new resources. I can get really excited. I'm trying to tone it back so I don't talk your ears off. But yeah, so that's kind of what you can expect for our student population. Perfect. And so any questions so far? I know I am running through this a little bit quicker than normal, but I want to be recognizant of time.
I have a question. Yeah, so it sounds like there is an online program. Well, I guess I have more than one question.
Yeah.
So we're taking 5 classes a year, 2 credits per class. So at 30 credits, that would be about 3. So if you take 5 classes a year, it would take you about 3 years to get through.
Correct. Yep. And then some students do double up on classes. It really just depends on, again, kind of how you're feeling, what you can take on.
Sure.
Mark, did you have something to add to that?
No, I think you covered it. I mean, every student's in a different situation. You can take as many or as few as you want. That's the idea, is to make it more flexible for you based on your life.
Okay, awesome. And then it sounds like most people or everyone would start out with the intro to the outdoor recreation economy. And then I think, so we take one class first part of the semester, and then you sign up for another one later.
So you would sign up for them both at the same time, but they would be offered one in the first half, one in the second half.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way,
then-
you don't have to take them in any particular order. So you don't have to start with the intro course. Again, that would be a perfect world. You'd take the whole intro certificate first before, but the reality is we're all at different places, different times. We have different stressors. We have different responsibilities. So there's no specific order with one exception. We mentioned there's 5 classes per certificate, and there is one project course per certificate. I can't say that very well. You have to take the 4 content courses before you take the project course. That's all.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, I think you just answered it as far as I probably will start with the intro, but then there are some areas that are more exciting to me and I would want to go straight into them. And it
You
sounds like
absolutely can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we do have Pilar is a ghost on the call, but once you are accepted into the program, you can definitely meet with Pilar and she can help you plan out your classes and kind of what works best for you. So we do have that access as well.
What's the best way to contact Pilar?
Yeah, I'll send out her information in a follow-up email after this, so you can contact her there.
Say hi, Pilar. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Looking forward to meeting you all at some point, talking with you all.
I did notice that because I was looking up classes just to see what's offered, and they are offered different classes at different sessions. So, because my first thought was, well, do you have to finish the first certificate first before you can take any courses in
No.
certificates? And I found that there's different classes offered in different sessions, so you can kind of go at different paces for different certificates. Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely can. You can take them as it works for your schedule. And now that we've got this program up and running, it's been in existence for 2 years now. Some of our classes are becoming full. We're starting to offer more than one section per year. Today, we only offer a class one time per academic year. Next academic year, we're going to start offering our first couple courses more than once. So soon you'll even have more options.
And is it a set schedule of classes, or like, are there any electives, I guess is what I'm wondering, or is it like it's the 5 classes and that's it, or there's like flexibility in there at all, or?
Well, there's flexibility in terms of what certificate you pursue, but to answer your question, no. Right now, the certificates are 5 courses, and those are the 5 courses. In the future, you know, we'll think more about that, right? I mean, do we offer some electives? Do we allow you to we allow you to create your own degree now, but could it even go further where you take 5 different courses that are not necessarily aligned with the same certificate? But as of today, no, it's those 5 per certificate.
And Madeline, something to consider is you could always do one, because I know we had talked about a couple different of your career goals. You could always do one certificate and then pick and choose other individual classes, with the exception of those project courses to kind of round that out. So you can always do that as well. And then I think Andrew, you had a question too, right?
Yeah, I'm curious, and I think I've followed this program since it started. What is the sort of genesis of it? And then maybe this ties in, but what's the primary difference between MENV and ORE? Is it just the in-person versus online?
Well, I'll take that. Great question. You know, the genesis of it is there are pros and cons to the consolidation of the industry, and I can argue either side of this. But one of the pros is, wow, I mean, we're creating opportunities for real careers in this industry. It's growing so rapidly. There's so much opportunity. And with that comes a need for greater sophistication, right? I mean, traditionally, we were more mom and pop operators, and And if you wanted to become more sophisticated in a space, you didn't have anybody within your organization that had those skills because we grew up in the industry, right? So now as it's become larger and it's become more consolidated, you know, higher levels of sophistication as it relates to different skill sets and as it relates to leadership is critical. And hence the industry was asking for our help and other programs' help as well. And there's lots of other programs out there doing similar but different programs. So there's a real need, and our students have been received with open arms. I mean, several students have been placed while they're in the program. And then the second part of your question, refresh my memory, what was it again?
Oh, the primary difference with MENV
yeah,
versus
thank you.
this program.
Yeah, you know, I mean, yes, MENV is a traditional program. It's a 2-year cohort-based program. It's lockstep. You show up, you go through the same exact program for 2 years. You do have a lot of elective choices. So when I say same exact, I don't mean same exact classes, but there are some required and there are some electives. You know, one of the biggest difference, other than the fact that one's in person, one's online, is that all 15 of the courses that you take to get a master's degree in this program, MENV stands for Masters in the Environment, all 15 courses you take are specifically related to the outdoor recreation economy, period, right? I mean, every single instructor, all of our content, we try to directly tie it back to that. The Masters in the Environment program isn't necessarily like that, which isn't good or bad, but if you were if you specialized in Natalie's specialization, which is sustainability in the outdoor industry, there are 4 classes that are required that you take that are specifically related to the outdoor recreation economy. After that, there are 3 core courses that you take, one related to leadership, one related to environmental science, one related to systems thinking that you have to take. And all the rest are electives, good and bad, right? Good is you have a lot of flexibility. Some of the negative, I would say, is if you're really committed to the outdoor recreation economy, you know, there's not in-person offerings necessarily that go in depth as we do in ORE. Now, you can, as an MENV student, take ORE courses, right? Now, it seems a little crazy that if you're able to go face-to-face full-time, that you'd take online courses because it's so nice I know I'm old school, but it's nice to do it in person. But you could absolutely do that. So, you know, pros and cons for sure. I could argue either side of the coin, but ORE was designed to meet you where you're at and specifically around the outdoor recreation economy.
Mark, I'll add some extra, because there are some additional differences I think that's worth highlighting, is that the MENV program is a 48 credit hour program as a master's degree versus the online program is 30 credit hours. It also does cost a fair bit more being in person. And also obviously for those additional 18 credits, and a lot of those credits come down to a capstone project. So the Masters in the Environment students work on a big 9-month capstone project in teams. As Mark mentioned, it's a very interdisciplinary program. So the idea is, regardless of the specialization you're in, you're learning about other relevant areas and relevant sustainability content that goes beyond the outdoor industry. But a lot of those skills and knowledge, whether it's greenhouse gas accounting or stakeholder engagement, you know, obviously are relevant to this outdoor space. I would say the other key difference is the audience. Right, a lot of folks in the online ORE program are largely working professionals. The majority of students who take this program in the online space are working full-time or at a minimum part-time. They've had career experience elsewhere and are often, you know, looking to use that career experience and build on it. Many of our students in the MENV program are a little bit younger than that. A small handful are straight out of undergrad, but I'd say the majority are sort of within 5 to 7 years out of their undergraduate programs, where I would say it's an older demographic for the online program. And obviously being online, the ability to work in groups extensively is not as easy as what we typically do in the on-campus program.
Got it. Yeah, that's super helpful. I appreciate all the detail. And then one additional question, looking forward, as far as new certificates are concerned, is there anything on the horizon that's more focused on product? It was mentioned, the public funds moving into the space, but I think a lot of private funds are going to move into the space as well. And you're seeing this with private equity and venture capital. And curious if there's anything from that angle that could be worked into the curriculum.
Yeah, Andrew, I would love to have a definitive answer for you, but we're literally today, before this meeting, I was in our strategy session as we're talking about the future of the program and deciding what's next. And, we're excited about rolling out this new inclusivity cert, but we have not decided what the future was. Had you asked me 6 months ago, I probably would have told you something related to corporate sustainability. Because there's a lot of momentum around that. With that said, and you guys are getting this isn't approved or anything, so if you say I said it, I'll deny it. But we may be offering an online program related to that associated with MENV in the future if it gets approved and we go down that path. So that niche will be covered. I'm not sure, but I like your idea, and we'll look to employees as well to understand students as well, to understand what their needs and desires are.
Great, thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
So it's my, for Marco and Carly. So it's my understanding that all the curriculum, the coursework is online, or are there any courses offered in person on campus that can transfer over or substitute for any of the online courses?
Carly, I'll turn it back over to you unless you want my help with any of that.
All good. I will take a stab at it. Robert, this is a fully online program. So the ORE, the 15 classes you take, they will be fully online. So unlike MENV, which is a primarily residential program, these are all online, but we do offer a lot of in-person opportunities, especially for those who are in the area or even those who aren't in Colorado. So we post about get-togethers in Colorado, conferences out of state. So there was probably one in California that I'm not aware of that could find and direct you to. We also do collaborate a bit with the MENV, and so that could be collaborating with their guest speakers, if they're putting on career events, any sort of just networking events. Our ORE students are generally invited to that. So that's a really great way to get that in-person experience while the classes are still fully online. And so you can still, get involved on campus. You can go bike riding, you go hiking, you can do all the fun things, you can get a job, and you can still have that in person as well as balancing those online classes.
Okay, well, good. And
Yeah.
also, as an online student, do we have access to the resources on campus, like the library, for example, studying?
Yes.
Parking on campus, utilizing the available resources on campus?
Yes, you'll have access to everything. As a full-time master's student, you will have access to everything on campus. Parking is unfortunately not free. So definitely we could talk about free off-campus parking. But yes, you'll have access to everything on campus.
Do they sell parking permits for online students? And
they do, yes. Yes.
Even faculty has to buy a parking permit, unfortunately. We all do.
They get everybody, so yeah. Okay, well,
Okay.
great, thank you.
Sorry, I have a little question. So I think my official status, and maybe this is because I haven't officially accepted my program, is a part-time student online. Is everyone, yeah, so I don't know where that goes. And then do you have a climbing gym?
I think we do.
Yes, we do. So we have an amazing gym. So for those of you that do live in the area, it is by far the best fitness center around anywhere. And it's really reasonable. And there's a climbing gym there. Now you pay a little more for the climbing gym. It's not nearly as extensive as Movement or some of the other Boulder, but I go climb. They've got a couple auto belays, so I'll go climb there at lunch.
Nice. Okay, thank you. Sorry, that's a side note, but.
And then Madeline, I think you've had your microphone off for a while. Do you have a question?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was piggybacking off of a couple of things. Yeah, about the facilities, and kind of product design, if there's any kind of industrial design program or facilities like that there, if we want to be learning about designing products and gear or clothes or anything like that, if there's resources there, or what kind of alternative outside resources are possible.
Yeah, we are less tactical, technical. There are programs out there that are more focused on that for sure. We're really focused on educating the future leaders of the industry and thinking about it from a more strategic, holistic perspective than a tactical, technical perspective. I do think, products, as we discussed briefly earlier, is a huge portion of the industry, and there could warrant some more depth there. But to date, we don't. Now, with that said, there are other programs on campus that do. One that I think of that's not on campus is University of Utah, for example. They're really well known in that space. But on campus, in our engineering space, I know we're doing some work with some other universities with some labs and figuring out the technical specifications and designing gear, but we don't particularly get into that space yet. Yeah, never know.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask about funding opportunities and scholarships or grants or assistantships or anything like that.
You want to answer that, Carly, or you want me to answer that?
I can take a stab at it. So
yeah,
we have for full-time master's students, there are access to scholarships. That's through CU, through third party. You are eligible for federal aid through FAFSA. So really our master's students are the ones who get the most amount of financial aid or opportunities for financial aid. If you're just taking individual courses or a single certificate, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not believe that there are any financial opportunities for that. You could look at third-party scholarships, and maybe they offer some for certificate students, but you will have to be a master's student to get the full array of financial aid options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you think it's too late for this, for the fall, for this next year?
I don't think so. No, definitely I would say you get on those sooner rather than later. You do have to become a fully accepted student within the master's program, so you can get your student identity and information, so that way you can access the scholarship portal. That does, if you are considering it, I would say jump on that, so we can consider your application, and that way you have the most time to apply for those scholarships before the fall semester.
Carly, I have a question.
Yeah.
Full-time student, is that 6 units or 6 credits total per semester? So would that be 6 units total for 2 sessions? If 2 sessions make up a semester?
It's going to be 6 credit hours per semester. So you would have to take 3 classes in a semester in order to be considered full-time for the master's.
Those 3 classes can be a combination of 1 in 1 session and 2 in the second session?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
All 3 at once. Well,
I would not recommend taking 3 at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, just 3 total.
Okay. I'm planning on submitting my application this Friday. I've got it pretty much all filled out. And so would I be eligible for scholarships then? And are there any veteran scholarships?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can send you a link to our Veteran and Military Affairs office. They have a link to all the veteran scholarships that we offer. As for your eligibility for other scholarships, I can't say one way or the other. But once a decision's made regarding your acceptance or whatnot, then you'll be able to get once you get your student identity and everything, then you can go on and see what scholarships you are available for.
Okay.
Yep.
I already included UC Boulder on my FAFSA, my graduate FAFSA.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
As much done as possible, as efficiently as possible.
Yeah. No, you're definitely already on top of it if you've done your FAFSA. Perfect. Well, I know we're running a little bit shorter on time. Any other questions that I can answer that are on anyone's brains at the moment?
Yeah, I have a general question for Mark. So I haven't been in the outdoor industry really. And so I'm wondering kind of the pros and cons of doing this program versus just getting into the industry and working my way up and learning through experience kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a great question, Madeline. We see traditionally two types of students. Of course, there's different varieties, but those that are in the industry that, oftentimes fell into the industry, meaning I heard somebody, it was Lydia shared the story earlier, and so many of us have a similar story where, we were just, going out as a seasonal job, and then we were going to go back to law school or something, but we fell in love with the location, we fell in love with the industry. We started working in the industry, and now we want a relevant degree to help us grow into leadership, more sophisticated roles, and get higher level positions. That's one category. The other category, similar to you, right, is someone that, based on what you just told me, someone that wants to pivot their career. They want to bring, oftentimes, leveraging the experience they have in different industries to our industry. And the way that they do that is by coupling their experiences with this newly minted education, building this network, and figuring out where these two things come together, and then finding a role within the industry, even if they want to pivot to a different role. And an example I'll give you is we have an attorney in the program who doesn't want to be an attorney anymore, but we were able to help her enter the industry as an attorney. And now she's looking to, now that she's already in the industry, move outside of being a lawyer into different roles within the industry. So that's very common. And, we haven't really talked about this yet, right? We're not a research-based program. We're practical, we're applied. Most of us have been practitioners. We have super deep relationships in the industry. We're uber committed. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if we didn't help you guys get roles within the industry. And I mean, I can't tell you, we haven't had anybody graduate yet, by the way. I think our first students graduate, I think this fall or maybe next spring. But several students have already found their way into industry. And if you were to ask them, we were very instrumental in helping them make those connections. So we bring the industry to you through guest lectures, facilitating informational interviews, facilitating connections for you as you apply for roles so that you get your foot in the door. So it certainly doesn't hurt to get experience, as you pointed out, but I actually think that your path is very common. I'd say it's about, I would actually say it's more heavily weighted to the path that you're on than the other, percentage that I mentioned, that half and half. So. What else?
I'm curious. Okay, I'm curious what you see like the advantages and disadvantages of this newer program and kind of the newer field in higher education of outdoor recreation. And there's a couple of bachelors in product design going on, but it's just been like the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, my opinion is the high tide raises all boats here, right? And so a lot of our peers consider us competitors. And I'm like, no, you know what? The industry is faced with so many challenges, so many opportunities. It's going to take all of us, and we're all focused a little differently. And matter of fact, and I welcome this from any of you, if anybody wants to have one-on-one discussion, just like I mentioned to you, the product design program out there, hey, we want you to land, and even MENV versus ORE, we want you to land in the best place for you, and we want your help to combat all these challenges and opportunities we have out there. So there are lots of different programs that are popping up. They all have different strengths. They all have different opportunities. We have a unique niche. I do think we're uniquely suited for our niche, being in the School of Environmental Studies. We're really, focused more on, the leadership aspects, the science aspects, the systemic aspects of the industry, the business aspects of the industry than some of the other programs. But you know what? Our students are being incredibly well received. I mean, actually, I'm surprised at how well received they are. And I don't mean that you know, when we call out to our network and say, hey, this student has applied for a job in your company, be it BF Corporation, Patagonia, you name it. Okay, that's nice that they'll do us a favor and make sure that the student, you know, gets some visibility as they deserve, but many of them are getting placed. And so that shows me that, you know, the industry is really appreciating what the students are learning and what they bring and the qualifications. As you heard already, what an impressive group of people, right? So, so we're not doing it for you, but we're here to walk alongside you and help you for sure. I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Thank you.
Yeah, I heard somebody else trying to poke in there too. Was there another question?
I have a question for Carly.
Yeah.
About how long does it take for a final decision of acceptance to be made after we submit our application online?
Yeah, so our admissions review team meets maybe once every week or so. So it'll really depend on kind of how busy everyone's weeks are, but I would say probably within 7 to 14 business days is a pretty typical turnaround time. We try to be as efficient as possible, recognizing that this is a big decision. We want to not leave you all hanging in the dark. So we try to be as efficient as possible, but I would say 7 to 14 is about typical. Unless Spark, you want to do it quicker, we could.
Yeah. No, well, we'll definitely do it quicker as it comes up close to the deadline that we're approaching, so that anybody that's in the system will have a decision before as quickly as possible. And Carly, there's a question in the chat. Can we run over the deadline dates for acceptance and class selection?
Yes, and I was going to do that right after Robert's question, so that's perfect.
Perfect.
Sweet. So as you all have seen the slide that's been shared, admissions process. So we're requiring that undergraduate degree for the master's, current resume, statement of purpose, and then I don't think there's any international students on the call, but that's what it is. It is your for your undergraduate degree. It will require an unofficial transcript, so you don't have to order your official one. You don't have to pay money. Just download that unofficial copy and attach it. Perfect. And then, so dates and deadlines coming up. So for those of you who are interested in that fall master's, it's going to be July 1st is the priority. July 15th is that final deadline. So that's what you're looking at. And then I think there was a certificate person on the call. So you're looking at August 16th deadline. So you have a little bit longer for that certificate deadline.
Okay, and I guess more specifically dates for like once you've been accepted, officially putting down your deposit.
Yeah.
Into the program, and then class selection.
Yeah. So that's kind of once you've officially been accepted to the program, the next few steps are on your own. So you'll receive a letter from us being like, oh, check out your student, graduate student buff portal. It'll have an admissions decision. You'll select that. It'll say what the decision is. And then you'll go in and officially accept it. You'll pay that confirmation deposit. It takes typically about 24 hours for the deposit to go through and be registered in the system. And then after that, you'll start getting email chains about what your student identity key is, student email, getting everything set up. And at that point, I would say for me, it took maybe about 3 to 4 days after being accepted to get everything set up student side. So that's most likely the timeline you're looking at. And then after that, once you're accepted, you have your identity key, you can work with Pilar, hi Pilar, to go ahead and get registered for classes.
So what dates do classes start? And then what date do I want to make sure that I've officially accepted and paid that deposit?
Yeah, so classes will start August 28th, so that Monday, for the first half of the semester classes. So August 28th, and then I think it's October 17th for that second semester. So you'll want to, I would say, have everything confirmed no later than a week before. So I'd say August 21st at the absolute latest. But honestly, once you're registered for the classes, unless you're deciding to change your certificates or something comes up, once you're registered, you should be set to go. You won't be dropped from classes as long as you pay your tuition and everything by the deadline, which I believe is that first week of August, and the Bursar's office will email you those specific dates for tuition.
Okay. So first week of August would definitely be, I would want to make sure that I've officially accepted
Yes,
before that first week of August.
I would say so.
Okay.
Laura, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I just am trying, I've got a lot of things, a lot of moving parts over here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to make sure that I don't accidentally bypass an important date.
All good. Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, August 28th, I think is you can, since we do 8-week courses, I believe you can add a class up until the second or third day of classes, but I would say August 28th at the latest would be when you want to 100% make sure that your schedule is set. Just because you don't want to get behind on classes. So perfect. Cool. So those are the dates and deadlines. And I think the last one is just any questions. So like I said, I will send out a copy of this recording as well as the PowerPoint. So, well, the PowerPoint will be in the recording, but just so you have them both. And then I'll include my information, Pilar's information, and then a link to my calendar appointment. So if you do want to make an appointment with me, go over anything in more one-on-one detail, I will send that out so you have access to it.
Yeah, and I'll just add that for all of us, right? Different folks are pursuing this for different reasons and different things that different faculty members mentioned today might have resonated with you. We're all available to you. So if you want to, Carly can help you since you know where to find her, but all of us are more than happy to help you with any questions that you have, or if you want to go into a question deeper. I've spoken to a few of you already and anxious to chat with more of you over time.
Perfect.
What else do you have in our last? Oh, we're right on time. But if there are more questions, I know that Carly and Pilar and I are happy to stay on. So feel free to go if you've heard enough of us. We're excited that you're here. We're having fun. We're making a difference. We're committed to having an impact in this industry, and we're hoping that if it's right for you, that you'll join us. So what other questions? Feel free to go if you need to. Other than that, we're here if we have any more questions.
I have a question for Mark. Do we still have an appointment for tomorrow? Because I made an appointment for Friday. We do?
Yeah, we've got it. I think it's like at 10 or something, right, Carly? Is that right?
I can double check.
Maybe 10:30.
Yeah, you should have received an invite. If not, I can resend that for you, but I have you at 10:30 Mountain Time with Mark and I.
So that'll be 9:30 California time. Okay.
Exactly.
Send that link again because I don't know if I received it or if something happened.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and resend that for you.
Awesome.
What else?
This sounds like a really awesome program. I'm really looking forward to actually getting into working in an industry that I have a passion for instead of just doing debits and credits and financial analysts.
Well, it is powerful. It is powerful. And several of you are kind of in the space already. But when you have the opportunity to align who you are with what you do and to make an impact, right? It's a lot less like work, right? And when you surround yourself with people that share that passion, you're excited to go to work every day and work towards sharing those experiences with others. And it's a unique opportunity, and it's not easy either. And Robert, you being an accountant, it's a little more linear, right? I'm making this up, but accountant 1, 2, 3, the certs you need to get, the steps you need to go through. And sometimes we have a harder time finding our way into this industry and way around. But once you get your foot in the door, it's oftentimes it's you begin building those relationships, you find your way, and it's absolutely worth it for sure. Well, if there are no more questions, Carly, you want to call it?
I will happily call it so I can go get some ice cream, hopefully.